We repeat this line as though it's poetic, but it isn't poetry. It's a diagnosis, a truth about the way millions live. Quiet desperation is not the loud, dramatic kind of suffering. It is the slow suffocation of the soul. The kind that is so common, so ordinary that we stop noticing it. And perhaps nowhere does this show itself more clearly than in how we treat our weeks. Think about it. If you hate your job, then 5 days of every week are spent in silent resistance. You endure, you wait, you count down, and only then, for 2 short days, you allow yourself to breathe again. Do the math. Out of every 7 days, 5 are endured, 2 are lived. That is nearly 75% of your existence surrendered before it even has a chance to be yours. Now expand that to a lifetime. If you live 75 years, then by this rhythm, nearly 55 years of your life are lost to waiting. Waiting for Friday, waiting for weekends, waiting for vacations, waiting for retirement, waiting for life to finally begin. But here's the haunting reality. That day you're waiting for rarely comes. Most people spend their entire lives in this loop of postponement. And when they finally do reach retirement, they're often too tired, too sick, or too broken to enjoy the very life they sacrificed so much for. So the real tragedy isn't just that we waste our time. It is that we never even realize we were wasting it until it is too late. Society has made this cycle seem normal. We joke about Monday blues, sigh with relief when hump day arrives, and celebrate Fridays like they are small salvations. Our culture has created memes and slogans around this TGIF as if living for 2 days is the best we can hope for. But stop and think about that. Isn't it strange that an entire culture has normalized hating the majority of our lives? Isn't it strange that exhaustion, stress, and dissatisfaction are accepted as inevitable, as the price of being a functioning adult? And yet, beneath the humor lies an unspoken tragedy. We are quietly losing our lives in plain sight. There's a story we often tell ourselves, later will be better. We say, I'll just get through this job, this project, this year. And then later, I'll enjoy my life. But later is a horizon that never arrives. The philosopher Alan Watts once asked, what if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? But for most people, money is the object. And life, the only life they will ever have, becomes the cost. The problem isn't simply that work takes time. It's that it takes the best hours of your day. You trade your energy, your creativity, your attention, all the things that make you feel alive, so that you can buy back slivers of freedom at the end of the week. And when Monday comes, the cycle resets. This isn't living, it's waiting. Time is not something you can save for later. It is not a currency that can be deposited and withdrawn at will. Time is spent in every moment, whether you notice it or not. And this is why hating your weekdays is not a small inconvenience. It is a profound theft. A theft of your life, disguised as routine. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." If you waste your weekdays, then your life becomes terribly short, not because the calendar says so, but because you lived so little of it with presence, joy, and meaning. Imagine looking back at the end of your life. Do you think you'll remember the weekends you spent recovering from exhaustion? Or will you remember the weekdays you endured, counting hours until freedom? Neither. You will remember the moments you were fully alive. And if those are scarce, then so too will your life feel. So what can be done? Should you quit your job tomorrow? Should you abandon your responsibilities and flee into some romantic adventure? Not necessarily. The point is not to recklessly throw your life into chaos. The point is to recognize that if you are waiting for life to happen, you are not living. The shift begins not just externally, but internally. Can you bring fragments of joy into the weekdays you normally despise? Can you cultivate meaning not only in escape, but in the present? Can you create a life where the weekdays and weekends are not enemies, but extensions of the same existence? Even small shifts matter. Because what makes life worth living is not found only in vacations, weekends, or rare escapes. It is found in ordinary moments made meaningful conversations, creations, acts of presence. When you stop postponing life, you discover that the only thing you ever truly had was this moment. And when you live it fully, even Mondays can become alive. Thoreau was right. Most people do live lives of quiet desperation, but you don't have to. The question is simple yet profound. Will you live your life as something to endure? Or will you live it as something to inhabit? Because life is already short. But if you live for the weekends, it becomes even shorter. So the choice is yours. Do you want to look back and realize you lived 75 years? Or do you want to look back and realize you only ever lived 2 days a week? The difference between those two outcomes is not time, it is awareness. And perhaps the real tragedy is not that life is short. It's that we make it so much shorter by refusing to truly live it.